to Kinship Worship. My name is Floyd Pönitz, and I'm the president of Seventh-day Adventist Kinship International. And it's my privilege to welcome you and thank you for joining us this evening for Kinship Worship. Kinship Worship's a program that happens on the first Friday night of each month. It's a program for us and by us. And today I'm going to bring you what I hope is some inspirational thoughts. And if in the future, if any of you would like to lead the worship or have the worship talk, feel free to contact us, and we'd be happy to have you be a part of and to lead out in kinship worship. Can't believe it's already August. Yeah, the month has started and the year is just flying by. Here in the Northern Hemisphere, it's in the middle of summer. We've been having over 100 degrees every day for the last few weeks here in Texas. And seems like Jeff just looked at the forecast and it's going to be over 100, 101, 102, whatever for the next at least 10 days. So no relief in sight. Fortunately, I like summer, but yeah, I know that this too shall pass, and before we know it, it will be November, and finally things will be cooling off. Now, if you're in the Southern Hemisphere, I think that means that you are in the middle of winter right now, and so I hope it's a mild winter and not too bad. But the year is flying by, but it wasn't that long ago that we started celebrating Pride Month, and that was June. So just less than 2 months ago, we were talking about Pride events, Pride parades. I know that for some in the United States, it started off with the very first week in June. I think that's what it was here in Dallas. And they've been going through all the month of June, July, and I think just last weekend, Hamburg, Germany, I heard was celebrating Pride. So it's kind of been extended and pulled out so that it goes over quite a few weeks and months. And so that is good. So I hope that you maybe for the first time attended a Pride event, or I even marched in the Pride Parade. I know Region 2 in the DC Pride had an entry and marched in there. There were some pictures on the WhatsApp group, and so that was always an exciting thing to be a part of that. I know that Pride is, just from that word Pride, Adventist Christians have a big problem with it, and because we grew up Adventist and Christian, we also for much of our lives have a inside a problem with the word pride. But I think there's two different types of pride. There's the pride in a sense of accomplishment, which we celebrate for our LGBTQ pride, queer pride events. And then there's the arrogance of pride, that you feel like you're better than someone else. You're proud, you're haughty, all these words that we knew from Sabbath school. One of the seven deadly sins, perhaps, is pride, and just showing off to other people that, hey, I'm better than someone else, is a negative kind of pride. But you know, each one of us wake up in the morning, and if we're lucky enough to wake up, that means we have survived another day. And many of us have gone through quite a bit coming out as LGBTQ or being in the closet as an LGBTQ person, with our families, with our churches, with society in general. Some of us are very lucky. We live in the West, in the United States, or in Europe, Northern Europe, Scandinavia. Pride is or being LGBTQ is no big deal. And so it's easy to be gay, to be queer, but not so much if you live in Africa, or Saudi Arabia, or some parts of Asia, different countries. So, many of us take it for granted, but we do have something to be proud of, something to celebrate, that we have survived, and God has been with us and given us this gift of being queer. And I truly believe it is a gift from God to be LGBTQIA+. And yeah. So we have something definitely to be thankful for, and look at pride as a good thing. When we learned in Sabbath school, we love God and love your neighbor. Those are the two things we think about. And actually, there was a list of three. You love God first, you love your neighbor second, and then third, if there's time and space, we love ourselves. But I think we have that just almost backwards or upside down, because if you don't love yourself and you don't know how to love yourself, you're going to have a big problem loving your neighbor, and you're going to find faults in them. And that's why maybe so many Christians point out the sins and faults and abominations in their view of gay people, because they don't know how to love themselves, how to know that they are okay with God. And likewise, if you don't love yourself, you're not going to really know how to love God all that well. So I think we need to focus first on, how do I love myself? In all my, what I see as imperfections and problems, and what others maybe call sin in me, how do I love myself? And so I think that's a lesson that Kinship can help us with. And as a community, we can come together and talk more about, how do I love myself? Once we've done a good job of that, then we can talk about loving our neighbor and loving God. Those who know me well know that one of my hobbies is genealogy, and maybe that's a hobby for some of you as well, doing family tree research and researching your ancestors. Because I always feel like if I understand where I came from, what my family was like, why my family did different things, that can help me understand why I react in certain situations one way or the other. And so actually, my husband's name is Jeff, and so I'm working on his family genealogy as well. And I saw that one of his great-grandfathers had moved from Tennessee, from White County, maybe some of you know Tennessee, Sparta, White County, Tennessee, to Oklahoma, to Jackson County, Oklahoma, to a town called El Dorado. And he had never been there. I had never been there. And I saw there are like 3 cemeteries where some of his ancestors were buried, his great-grandfather and his great-grandfather, and various other relatives. So I suggested we drive up there one day, and we did, for a weekend. It was actually 4th of July weekend that we made a trek up there. Wasn't all that far. It's like a 3.5-hour drive, something like that. So we went up there, found the cemeteries out in some old dirt roads out in the country, and found these graves. And it was really a cool experience for me and for Jeff to find these graves and know that in the ground buried there are the roots of his family, of his Williams family, and the West family, and different lines of his family line. On the way back home, we were listening to the radio, and it's usually, since Jeff was driving, he was the one who picked the stations, and a Whitney Houston song came on, and I had heard it probably a million times, and I know you have heard it as well. But all of a sudden, the words that I was hearing really struck me, and I would love to play the song for you. All of you know Greatest Love of All. I'm sure you've heard the song. I'd love to play it on here, but I was told that if I play the song, we'll probably get banned or the video wouldn't upload properly to YouTube. So I'm not going to sing it for you, so don't worry. But I'm going to read you some of the words and just think about those words. They really spoke to me as I was listening to Whitney sing. And it starts off, I believe the children are our future. Teach them well and let them lead the way. Show them all the beauty they possess inside. Give them a sense of pride to make it easier. Let the children's laughter remind us how we used to be. Everybody searching for a hero. People need someone to look up to. I never found anyone who fulfilled my needs. A lonely place to be, and so I learned to depend on me. I decided long ago never to walk in anyone's shadow. If I fail, if I succeed, at least I'll live as I believe. No matter what they take away from me, they can't take away my dignity, because the greatest love of all is happening to me. I found the greatest love of all inside of me. The greatest love of all is easy to achieve. Learning to love yourself is the greatest love of all. I decided long ago never to walk in anyone's shadow. If I fail, if I succeed, at least I'll live as I believe. No matter what they take away from me, they can't take away my dignity, because the greatest love of all is happening to me. I found the greatest love of all inside of me. And if by chance that special place that you've been dreaming of leads you to a lonely place, find your strength in love. I think those words could be a sermon definitely in itself. Find that love, find that pride inside of you, and let that be your go-to place whenever you start feeling lonely, whenever people start putting you down or condemn you for being part of the rainbow queer community. Find that love inside of you, and once you do, it will bubble out, and the people will feel it and see it and know that they're perhaps barking up the wrong tree, because it's not affecting you negatively like they're wanting it to. They're not making you feel remorseful. They're seeing that you do love yourself. And with that love of yourself comes the love of God that other people will be able to see. So, yeah, I wish every day was a Pride Day. I love the month of June because it is Pride and because summer is here in Texas. And I love the warmth, but I also like the feeling of, hey, I think God is very proud of me, of us, of our community, of Kinship, of what we have accomplished. Kinship has saved a lot of lives. Each of you has saved lives, whether you know it or not, just by being part of the community, for speaking up. I was at the AYP conference, the Adventist Young Professionals, this past weekend, and I wore these buttons that you see here, and I wore them proudly. I walked around. Kinship was not allowed to have a booth there. They needed general conference approval or approval from ASI, and we know that would never happen. So I donned my gay apparel and walked around. I was the walking booth, and talked with the other booths there, and talked with some of the people that were sitting at my table at various times during the conference. And they would always ask, where are you from and what made you come here? And I would say, well, I live here locally. My name is Floyd, and I'm part of the LGBTQ Adventist community, and I'm here to represent that community. And SDA Kinship provides a space in that community where the church does not have a space, a safe space. And some of them gave me blank looks, but most of them went, hey, yeah, that's right. And I got to speak with the booths, with the exhibitors there, and shared with them about Kinship. Was able to give some of our pins out, our rainbow wristbands for Pride, and it was just a really good experience, and got very little pushback. Growing up, we had doves, these ringneck doves in a cage, and my grandfather actually started that, and he had these doves, and so growing up, my parents had some doves as well, and would love to hear them coo coo, make their noises. And but doves aren't the smartest, at least when it comes to building a nest, they're not. And several weeks ago now, maybe a month and a half ago, I noticed outside in our backyard, up on top of a cabinet, there was a dove who had built a nest out of just a few sticks. It wasn't a very good nest. It was just basically some sticks laid there, and she had laid 2 eggs and was sitting on the eggs brooding. And so I watched, didn't disturb, I could do whatever I wanted to in the backyard, even right at the cabinet. She never flew away. She was always very, she'd cock her head and look at me like, are you going to bother me? Or are you going to leave me alone? But never flew away, just trusted me. And right before we went on vacation 2 weeks ago, I noticed that instead of sitting, she was standing. And underneath her breast, I could see some little gray downed babies. So there were 2 little doves there. And I watched, and it was almost like just very quickly, they went from these little tiny babies with these strange feathers down, almost not real feathers, to just 2 individual, you could tell that they were doves, the neck, the head, whatever. And before long, she would disappear for several hours at a time, and then she would come back. And I could see her kind of teaching the babies. She'd flutter her wings, and she'd feed them, and she'd do things. And soon they were standing up on the edge of the cabinet, standing there, just kind of looking over. And I knew that it would just be a matter of a couple hours before they would take flight and go away and fly away. Actually, that was at nighttime. The next morning, I came out and I saw one of them sitting on the wooden fence a few yards away. And of course, then it flew away, and I wish it a good life and happiness. But I tell that story because I wonder sometimes when I see these doves or these animals, how do they know to do XYZ? How do they know it's time to fly away? How do they know when it's, when to do anything? When I go down to the farm, sometimes I see these cut ants, and they've built a nest, and they're marching, and they have these little leaves that they've chewed off the tree on top of their heads, and they're doing all this. How do ants know to go out? And there's different tasks that some ants do. Some ants are the cutters, some are the carriers. They even look slightly different. But how do the ants know that they need to be doing this, what to do? How do they know when it's danger? When I step on the nest or something, they scatter real quick. How do they know that that's what they're supposed to do? And the only answer that I have for that, and maybe some of you have studied these animals and can tell me better, but to me, it's instinct. They didn't go to class. They didn't go to Southern Adventist University to learn this. They didn't go to Walla Walla to learn how to fly, even though maybe some people do go there to fly, but planes and not their own wings. So, how do they do that? And like, as I said, the only answer I can find is that it's an instinct. And the only answer that I can find, because our sexual orientation is not something that we learn. It's not something that we inherit from our parents or from our grandparents. We really don't know, and we don't understand. But I remember at a very young age, maybe 5 or 6, that there was something inside of me that attracted me to the guys. The girls were fun to maybe play with, but the guys were where my eyes were on. And it wasn't because my mother was strong or my dad was weak or I got abused or anything like that. I feel like I had a great family life. Uh, so the only thing I can say is it was an instinct. It's something that's inside of me, whether it was a chemical bath in my mom's womb at week number, whatever it is that happens, and I develop that way, or whatever the reason is. But it's something that's instinctual, and something that's instinct, I don't believe can be sin. And you can't change it. You can pretend, instead of flying, you can walk and pretend you can't fly. But deep down inside, you know you can fly, no matter how much you tell people, no, I can't fly, I can only walk. Deep down inside, you know what your thoughts are, what your feelings are. These people who say that they have maybe changed or have gone through conversion therapy and they say it works, they're saying that because they want to please someone else. But deep, deep inside, that instinct, that whether it's a homosexual orientation, a bisexual, whatever it is, it's an instinct to know. Same with trans people. You know what is right and what you feel inside. And no matter, you can dress up the outside the way you want, but you know that the inside doesn't lie, your heart doesn't lie, and God sees that inside. So again, let's love ourselves for whoever we are, and let's be proud of that instinct that we were born with. I can't buy that being gay is because of the fall, because of Eve, because of Adam being chased out of the garden, and this is a result. I think that's a cop-out answer. And some of you may believe that, and I respect that, but for me, I can't believe that. I believe that it's part of our DNA, part of the gene that God put inside of us, knowing that somewhere down the line, the ability to love someone else of the same gender was going to be important. And he knew when he started the creation that Floyd was going to be born, and Floyd was going to be born homosexual. And it's a gift that he gave to me. So let's love ourselves and let's be proud of who we are and always work together. Let's join together with Kinship. Let's make Kinship the safest, most loving space there can be on this earth for Seventh-day Adventists, current and former. And let's work together and make the church a better place if we can. And if the church refuses, shake the dust from your feet, because your mental health is worth more than the aggravation that the church puts us through. So some of us can stay in the church, some of us have to leave. And both of those are the right choice for you. I mean, you have to decide which one is for you. And sometimes it's staying in the church for a season, and sometimes it's leaving. But love yourself, and that love will show to God and to other people. They will see that. So hopefully, tonight's worship has been somewhat beneficial and encouraging for you. I'd love to hear your thoughts. You can always email me, info@sdakinship.org, and let me know what you thought. August is an exciting month. Actually, we're building up momentum for camp meeting. And if you haven't thought about camp meeting, please think about it seriously. We have of course, our Kinship website, sdakinship.org, and there's a link to the camp meeting site. It has its own site with information. That's camp meeting with a K, KAMPMEETING.com, campmeeting.com. That's where you can register. for the event. It's November 9th through 12th. It's going to be held on the campus of La Sierra University at the La Sierra University Church Chapel. So we're looking forward to having you there. I know it's possibly controversial for a lot of Adventists, but we thank the University Church for extending that olive branch to us and allowing us to meet there and to worship God and have some great social, spiritual time together. So register today, book your hotel reservations, your airline reservations, and stay tuned there. We're going to put on the speakers and just give you more information as time goes by, but get your reservation in now while you can. And in the spirit of pride, I just want to remind people we have this, we have two different pride buttons, one with just the logo. If I can do this so that you can actually see. Hard to do it backwards on the camera here. So one has just the logo and one has the logo with the blue frame that says Seventh-day Adventist Kinship. If I can get this to focus properly, you can see this is the logo. And it's magnetic, so it doesn't put a hole in your shirt or anything or your blouse, and it's easy to put on. And actually, sometimes I wear a couple of these so that I can actually give them away to people when I see them or when they ask me, "Hey, what is that logo? Tell me, it looks like a rainbow, but what is it?" And so I explain about Kinship. I invite you to tell people about Kinship. Word of mouth is the best way to get things going. So besides the pins that we have, we also have the Kinship Pride bracelet, and it's in the colors. It's really hard for me to get it to focus here, but it says, "I stand with LGBT plus Adventists." And then it has the sdakinship.org website on it. I find it really super cool way of not even discreetly, but just letting people know that you are a safe person. So I wear mine almost all the time, just to let people know, and it's a great conversation piece. And, if you're part of the LGBTQIA plus community, if you're a parent, family member, if you're a supportive ally, I highly encourage you to wear it. Wear it to church. I gave these out at the conference, and people were wearing them right away. They're attractive, and they're a witness, and they're an opportunity for you to let people know that, and they don't have to know if you're part of the community or what you are. It's a way of showing people that you are safe and that they can come and talk to you, confide in you, yeah, just be a safe part. So you can get these items by sending me an email, info@sdakinship.org. Let me know which one you want, how many you want, and your name and address to send them to, and I'll get those in the mail to you. And if you have any stories, once you get them and put them on, if you'd like to share stories, pictures on the WhatsApp group, Facebook group, or wherever, please do so. We'd love to hear you. So let me wrap this up. If you are hearing about SDA Kinship for the first time, please check us out on the website, sdakinship.org. Follow us on social media at SDA Kinship. We have a YouTube channel that's at SDA Kinship INT. And I have a personal Kinship President Twitter account that's at Kinship Prez, PREZ. And I'd love to have you follow us. Kinship exists because of you, and we would love for you to share Kinship with others and join enjoy Kinship and to invite them to join us via the website. Just go to the website. You can sign up to be a member. That way you won't miss any of the events or emails from us. So again, happy Sabbath. Take care. Know that you are loved unconditionally. Kinship loves you. I love you. And best of all and most of all, God loves you unconditionally just as you are. Have a good Sabbath, and see you next month or online.